to the Race Spec
Should
channel.
be okay. Just a slight hiccup. It's still loading onto the channel. There it is there. So, stream's up, audio is working, the chat's up. We should be all good to go. Don't know why that decided to hiccup there, but anyway, it's up and running. That's the main thing. Hello everyone and welcome to round 4 of the PlayStation Pacific Tier 1 Championship here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and this time we're racing at the brand new Miami International Autodrome for the Miami Grand Prix. The most recent addition to the Formula One world, Miami is a 5.41 kilometer 19-turn circuit that takes place around the Hard Rock Stadium, located within the suburb of Miami Gardens. The circuit features a wide variety of unique bends, designed to test the drivers to the very limit. The main areas of concern will be the high-speed sweepers and bends within the first sector, and the tight Mickey Mouse section created by turns 12 through 16 in the middle sector. The circuit also consists of 3 DRS zones that lead down the main straightaway into turn 1. The second leads up to turn 11, and the final DRS zone leads down the huge straight into the incredibly tight turn 17. The 3 DRS zones will most likely prove to be the best overtaking spots on the circuit for both races. That's right, this round at Miami will be Race Spec's first ever sprint round, at least for Pacific Tier 1. Qualifying will determine the grid for the sprint. The top 10 from the sprint will score points, and the results from that race will determine the starting order for the main race. There are plenty of points to play for here in Miami, but before we focus on qualifying, there is a little bit of news to go through first from the previous race at Monza. A few incident reports from last week, the first involving ACW and Spicy. Two made contact, and as a result, ACW was given a 5-second time penalty and 1 penalty point from the stewards. Now, the next incident it involves a collection of 5 drivers: Karma, Darren 11, Vision, Plevs, and Spilly. And this was during the end of the Grand Prix at Monza, where all of those drivers received 20-second time penalties for speeding during the virtual safety car period. The stewards had deemed that due to the rather, let's say, drastic nature of the VSC Delta, where it can jump on you quite sporadically, the stewards deemed that the 20-second time penalties weren't warranted. So they were all removed. As a result, Darren 11 would end up finishing 4th, Vision finishes in 5th, Plebs in P6, followed by Spilly in P7. ACW, with his time penalty, would end up finishing 12th, and Karma would end up finishing 16th. In the Drivers' Championship, Crichton is leading the way on 84 points, followed by Leo on 66, 18 points separating the top 2. GeForce Ford is next on 52 points, followed by Plebs on 37. Spicy completes the top 5 on 29. Next 2 places are Darren 11 and iContrast, both drivers on 26 points. 1 point behind them is Spilly on 25. Luke in P9 is on 19, and rounding out the top 10 is Wogboy on 17 points. In the Constructors, McLaren are leading on 95, followed by Mercedes on 91, Ferrari on 66, Alpine on 56. Rounding out the top 5 is Alfa Romeo on 43. AlphaTauri is next on 35, followed by Red Bull Racing on 31, Williams on 29, Haas on 16, and at the bottom of the order, Aston Martin on 14 points. That's introductions out of the way. I can now introduce my co-commentator for this evening, who is once again GeForce Pato. Marco, you raced here on Sunday night. It wasn't the best of races, as Karma has a moment at turn 18, and he comes into pit lane. Yeah, it wasn't the best of the... Oh, he actually collided with Ferrari Pro. And he's been given a 5 grid place penalty with that incident at turn 17. But yes, you didn't have the best of races on Sunday. So what are your collective thoughts about this racetrack?
So, yeah, good morning from Europe, and good evening for all the Oceania drivers watching. Well, considering I just had 17 laps out of 39 in total, yeah, you can say I had a pretty bad race. And, well, it isn't really... I mean, it's a new track for everyone, so I think the learning curve is higher for everyone. And basically, I think this is one of the tracks where the gaps can be a bit bigger than usual. And especially, there are two really tricky braking zones, which are turn 1 and turn 11, because you always have the feeling that you can brake later into these corners, but if you do, then you lose the apex, and then you lose a lot of time, especially considering that the turn 2 and turn 3 are really important to get good traction towards the S section that follows. Yeah, it's a real challenge, to be honest, for the drivers, because of course in the S section or in Sector 1 you want a lot of downforce, but considering the straights that are in this track, which are pretty long, you really need top speed in the end, so it's going to be a good compromise in terms of setup for everyone. And I'm seeing the drivers going already really quick though. The top 5 is putting considerably good times already in the first run, so let's see how it goes for the sprint race and the future race.
But also to know, thanks to Hilles, who is racing tonight, we got a weather report. It should be all dry in all 3 sessions here at Miami. So that's good news for the drivers, I would think. Well, you would know, Marco, this track in wet weather conditions is quite a nasty piece of work, isn't it?
Oh, well, surely is. Especially, as I said, turn 3, turn 4, the traction zone is quite tricky already in the dry. Imagine in the wet, you really need to use a really high short shift to get through and be considerably quick in general. But I think in this track, considering this is a street circuit, also the tarmac is a bit more it's not that rough, so basically the grip is usually lower than usual in other tracks. And in the wet sometimes it feels like you're driving on eggs, to be honest.
Yeah, no,
and
it certainly looked like it for a lot of drivers during Elite. So as Darren 11 jumps up to P3 with a 27.8. But no, the drivers don't have to put up with that for tonight. In Pacific Tier 1 should be dry in all sessions as Spilly takes off on a flying lap. Currently P5 with a 28 flat. He's not improving with that mistake. As you've already pointed out, Marco, the traction zone at turns 2 and 3 is probably one of the trickiest traction zones on the game. It is so difficult to get it absolutely right. And
considering also the last corner is also quite tricky, considering there's that crest on the exit. If you take that bump in a bad way, the car just spins out and you can do pretty much about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a generally quite nasty racetrack. There's so many little areas that you have to worry about on one lap. So you can imagine in a race how frustrating it is, just having to micromanage all these sectors. So then you survive, let alone go fast. Just surviving you have to micromanage. So yeah, it's a task. It's a proper task for all the drivers tonight. So,
yes, it is.
Spicy's making towards the end of a flying lap, 1 minute 28.017. He jumps up to P6, just in front of Spicy. Only 15 thousandths between those two. As Crichton takes off on a flying lap, we're right on board with the championship leader. Give you a guided tour of the circuit around turn 1 into turn 2, then turn 3. You can see him modulating the throttle. Then he eventually reaches full throttle about a third of the way around the corner. Into the S section, turns 4, 5. Now into the triple left-hander of 6, 7, and 8. He'll bring it down to 5th gear, then down to 4th gear as he clips the apex of turn 8, floors it on the exit, and makes his way down towards turns 9 and 10. He'll activate DRS just after turn 9. He'll swoop around turn 10, carrying a nice inside line there around the corner. Now into turn 11, big braking zone, 3rd gear, clips the apex nicely. Now round turn 12 and up towards the tight, twisty section of 14 and 15. He also had a bit of a wiggle out of turn 12. You could hear the engine note drop just suddenly as he tries to find traction. He comes out of turn 16, an incredibly important corner, as it dictates the top speed down this straightaway. He has DRS open, heading towards the biggest braking zone on the circuit, turn 17. Entry speed 340 kilometers an hour, bringing it down to second gear, maybe missing the apex by a little bit. He gets a nice exit around turn 18, and now the final corner, turn 19. Crichton crosses the line and jumps up to P3 with a 1 minute 27.618.
Yeah, and it was quite clean lap from Crichton. I think he can gain, as you said, he missed the apex just a little bit in the last corner, but otherwise it was a really clean lap. And you notice the other wiggle in the tight section, but sometimes that wiggle can actually you can gain time with those wiggles, if you can control them, of course. Because that tricky section is all about partializing basically the accelerator as much as you can, and then extending the track as much as you can, because especially before the chicane, if you can extend the track, then you can cut the chicane a bit more, and then of course gain time.
Yeah.
And yeah, the same topic applies also for turn 1 and turn 11 actually. Yeah. Because of course the walls are there. Oh, what happened?
Vengeance at the moment out of the chicane, and there's a Mercedes on their way. It's Crichton on an in-lap, so luckily he didn't impede him. But yeah, Vengeance had a moment coming out of that turn 14-15 chicane, lost control, didn't put it into a wall, thank goodness, but yeah, ruined his flying lap.
Yeah, exactly. Because you want to ride those curbs, but those curbs can really unsettle the car big time.
Yeah.
So it's always going to the lottery, basically, every single time you ride them.
But your point about opening up that section, that was something we saw a lot in the real-life Grand Prix, as Luke puts it into the wall, coming out of turn 17, heading around turn 18, and he'll duck into pit lane because he's got front wing damage. But yeah, it was something we saw a lot in the real-life Grand Prix, of drivers using all of the racetrack on the outside of the chicane to try and open up the entry into turn 14. So yeah, it's quite important these drivers maximise the full width of the racetrack, especially through that tight section, so they can carry as much speed as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, let's see.
I think right now... Yeah. Oh, I think I was saying the same thing you were saying. Let's see if I got it right.
Oh, sorry, no. I thought Vision lost the back end. It certainly looked like it from the camera angle, but no, he's got control of his car. He's currently up by 6.5 tenths to the middle sector as he's making his way down the straightaway towards turn 17. Now, the entry speed we saw from Crichton was 340 kilometers an hour. We see 342 from the Haas of Vision. Comes out of turn 17, around turn 18, up towards the final corner of 19. He'll cross the line to set a 28.3 and jumps inside the top 10. He found 7.5 tenths on that lap. But I think with the time left in the session, that will be his final flying lap, unless he recovers battery here and now and has another crack on those old tyres. But I don't know how good they'll be on a second flying lap.
Yeah, this is what also Contrast is doing, because he's doing a second run on softs, because maybe he wants to be one of the last drivers actually to cross the line, but it's going to be anyway one of the first ones. Let's see. It's going to be the first one, I think, to cross the line and start his last flying lap.
Certainly seems like it. And he's currently in 5th position. He set the exact same time as Darren 11, the driver in front of him, in P4. So, yeah, we're seeing this a lot in Race Spec, of drivers setting the exact same lap times. And currently Darren 11 has the advantage. Contrast comes out at turn 3 and heads up towards the S section of turns 4, 5 and 6. Hits the first apex. Gets around the second apex at turn 5. Now around the triple left-hander of 6, 7 and 8. 5th gear, doesn't bother to use 4th gear, unlike some of the other drivers I've seen, and he's up by 1/10 of a second to the first sector. Darren 11, he's just started his final flying lap. He's heading down towards turn 1. Crichton's getting ready as well. GeForce Leo is coming out to turn 8, crosses the first sector split line, and he's up by 800ths to the first sector. GeForce Ford making his way around turn 6 into turn 7 and 8. Fourth gear, short shifting to 5th, desperately trying to find traction, and he's up by 3/10 to the first sector. My goodness, he's found a lot of time there. Now, what about contrast? To the middle sector, he's up by 62 thousandths as he heads down towards the hairpin of turn 17. Now, if he can get this final sector spot on, he will improve position only by 1, but every position counts, especially around a tight circuit like Miami. Around the final corner of turn 19, up towards the line, and high contrast jumps up to P4. Darren 11, meanwhile, making his way through the chicane of 14 and 15 around turn 16. What does the clock say to the middle sector? It says he's up by 81 thousandths. There's tent sandals in the Aston Martin jumps up to P4. In the meantime, Leo's jumped up to P1 with a 27.3, and 40's invalidated. Oh my goodness me. He was up massively, and look at that. He would have improved by just under 0.4 of a second. He would have set a 27 flat there. Definitely would have been enough for pole. As Crichton, he's making his way down towards the hairpin of turn 17. He was down to the middle sector as Spicy jumps up to P5 in the other McLaren. Around turn 18, around turn 19, up towards the line. It's not enough to improve. He stays P3. So there we are. It's GeForce Leo. It appears that he's going to be starting from pole. Yet Vision not improving on his final flying lap. So it's the top 3 in the championship. Top 3 after qualifying here at Miami. Leo from Ford from Crichton. Ford would be absolutely kicking himself though. 27 flat he set. But unfortunately
that's
invalidated somewhere.
Yeah, especially because it's a really important Grand Prix for Ford, to be honest, in terms of championship, because after what happened at Monza, he really needs to get points, and he really needs to gain on Crichton, so that pole position would have mattered. But in this case, there's a sprint race, so basically qualifying is a tad less important than usual.
Yeah.
And let's see now for the sprint race what's going to happen.
So it's GeForce Leo who will line up from pole position for the sprint race here at Miami. GeForce Ford will line up alongside in P2. Crichton will start from P3, followed by Darren 11. Spicy completes the top 5. Tent Sandals, very fine, P6. High Contrast, P7. Spilly, P8, followed by Vengeance in 9th. And Pledge rounds out the top 10. Vision, P11, followed by Bags, Chip, Wogboy, Karma, Ferrari Pro, Roscoe Arm, Grimmy, Luke, and Hilles will start from the back. And of course, Karma, with that incident earlier in qualifying, he will actually be starting from the very back because he's got a 5 grid place penalty. So, not ideal to start from the back, I would imagine.
Is he going to serve the penalty in the sprint race or in the normal race?
I don't know, actually. Well, we'll get to find out.
We're going to find out soon. Yeah, exactly.
Because, I actually don't know. I know with engine penalties in something like My Team or driver career modes, they're served in the main race, not in the sprint. So, yeah, I guess we'll find out. But no, I imagine everybody's going to be using the medium tyre, I would guess, for this. Because with the sprint race format, you do get an extra set of medium compound tyres compared to a normal Grand Prix weekend where you have 4 sets of softs, 1 set of mediums, and 1 set of hards. In a sprint race weekend, you get 3 sets of softs, 2 sets of mediums, and 1 set of hards. And that's for the sprint race. Now let's have a look. Yeah, everyone except for Hilles is on the medium compound tyre. There you go. Hilles is just taking a gamble, and you can see Karma still in 15th. So, yeah, there you go. He'll serve his penalty in the second race, the main race. Bit of an F.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is what it is. Well, we
Maybe.
don't need the tyre graphic then, because we know what everyone's on. We can get rid of that. Get
Yeah,
ready for the start.
exactly. And, well, that's a good gamble for LS, to be honest, because if there's a safety car
Yeah.
in the first few laps, I think there will be many drivers who will have a think about putting softs on.
And not just that, but if there is a safety car, there's probably a few drivers who got damage thanks to that. So you could try and capitalize on that. But for Hillers, he just kind of needs to be aggressive right out of the gates as soon as the lights go out. So, or just get through the race and prioritize the main race. Maybe he has got a strategy plan up his sleeve for the main race. Who knows? But
maybe he wants to keep these two sets of mediums to make a two-stop and going soft, medium, medium. That can be also another alternative for the feature race. I don't know if it's quicker, but it's still an alternative that this tire allocation gives you with sprint race weekends.
And hello KD and ACW in the chat. It's nice to see you two there.
Hello, boys.
Yeah. Nice to see you two there. And hopefully we all get to enjoy this 10-lap race here in Miami. Top 10 will score points, by the way. First will score 10, second will score 9, and so on, so forth. So there is stuff to play for in this race, not just track position for the main race. So how hard will these guys push to get as far forward as possible? Well, let's find out, shall we? The leaders are lining up into their respective grid positions. We'll just be waiting on Hillers to line up into his. But no, it's also fantastic to see a 20-car field. Full field of cars for this event here at Miami for the first ever Pacific Tier 1 Miami Grand Prix. And for the first ever sprint race. Here we go. We got 10 red lights. And the sprint race is underway. It's a nice start from Crichton in P3. Can he find a way through into the race lead? It's almost 4 wide into turn 1, but it's Leo who has the nose in front. 40 tries to fight around the outside. That turns into the inside at turn 3. Coming out of the long right-hander. Down towards the S section for the first time. Leo is fighting for this lead. He has the inside line at 4, but 40 has the inside line at 5. That turns to the outside at turn 6. So Leo hangs on. A fantastic melee between the top two at the start of the race. Crichton, I thought he got a nice start there. He wasn't able to capitalise on it though. He stays in P3. Darren 11 P4. Spicy P5. Then 10th Sandals. Then Eye Contrast. Spilly, Plebs, Vengeance right behind, completing the top 10. Karma's overtaken Hillers, it seems, as well. Though, actually, Hillers has had quite a nice start. Up from 20th to 16th now as he overtakes Karma. Karma, though, fighting back. No, a nice start from everyone overall. As the field make their way around turn 16 and down the long straightaway towards the hairpin of turn 17. Oh my goodness, these fellas towards the back are really fighting quite hard. Hillers trying to get by Wogboy, trying to make the most of those soft compound tyres. He's definitely had the best start out of everyone, though Wogboy's fighting back. He's got longer legs in that Alfa Romeo, as Grammy and Karma and everybody else involved in this battle are swapping places down the straight around the hairpin of 17. Hiller's got almost pushed into the wall there. Or is he cutting the track at turn 19 as well? Yellows are out. It's Karma in 20th who was spun at turn 18. Oh dear, oh dear. But other than this spin, that's the only real source of drama we had on that opening lap. Oh, 40 running wide though at turn 5. He cuts the track at 6, losing time to Leo. And now Crichton closes in P3. 3.5 tenths, now 4 tenths separating those two.
Yeah, and I think Karma and Hillis... and Chip. Yeah.
Spinning out at turn 8, he now drops down to 19th position. No obvious damage on the Williams, but he's now got a lot of work to do as Grimmy gets by Wogboy for 14th position. Wogboy trying to fight back. He's deep on the brakes, almost hits the Red Bull, but Grimmy hangs on to position. It's 10 Sandals now who has spun. He tumbles down the order. He has spun at really quite an awkward spot at turn 13, and he drops all the way down to 18th position. Oh, and he's
I
got
think in the
complete front
meantime-
wing damage too, so he'll have to come in.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Ferrari Pro is actually disconnected because he's ghosting. And I think Karma spun because he had contact with Illes after the hairpin. Exactly. So that's basically what happened.
No, that's really unfortunate. But when those fellas were fighting quite hard at the end of the first lap, so I wasn't surprised there was contact. But yeah, it's quite unfortunate that somebody spun because of it. But it does happen, especially in this game. Especially with the physics of this game. If two cars make contact, one of them is bound to spin. It's just how it works. No, the fight is still very much on at the front of the field, and it's now lap 3 of 10, which means DRS is now enabled. And 40, he'll close in on race leader Leo here. DRS open, heading down towards turn 11. The gap shrinks to under half a second. They go into the tight left-hander. Tensendel's coming out of the pits a long way behind. He needs to pray for a safety car during the sprint race to try and recover places. Yeah, big old wiggle from 40 there, wasn't it? Yellow flags are out. It's Tensendel's again. What has Tent done to himself? Maybe had a spin or something through turn 3, not sure. But he brought out yellows, just briefly.
Watch out for Ford.
He's coming, isn't it? Ferrari has got some serious straight line speed. He goes to the inside into turn 17 and he gets in front. Leo can't do much about that. 40 takes the lead. Around the final corner, back onto the main straightaway. Leo will get DRS down towards turn 1. Can Leo create something here? He doesn't want to create something. He stays behind 40 for now. Crichton closes in as they head through turn 2, around turn 3. Then down towards the S section of turns 4, 5 and 6. 40's trying to pull away. The gap between the top two, 0.6 of a second. Now around the triple left-hander, up towards turn 7 and 8. 40 pulling away incrementally, but that gap's going to shrink thanks to DRS down this flat-out section. Leo will get it just after turn 9, and he'll close the gap up. Though Crichton's got to run. He's looking to the outside here. On the racing line. Is he deep under brakes? They're both even. Contact between the two. Light contact as Crichton makes his way through into second position. But the gap now between the top two cars, 1.1 seconds. Darren 11 closing in the Alfa Romeo. Spicy hovering behind in the other McLaren. As they head down the straightaway towards turn 17, Crichton's going to be a sitting duck because he won't have DRS and he's out of battery as well. You can see the flashing red light on the back of the Mercedes as they head down to turn 17. Leo fighting around the outside. Crichton diving it deep, too deep in fact. Pushing Leo wide. Oh, Leo loses traction and through goes Darren 11. And his teammate Spicy is now trying to find a way by. Down the main straightaway towards turn 1. Is there a send here? No, Spicy stays behind. Probably a wise thing to do. Clobbering the inside curve there at turn 1. Leo using all of the racetrack through this opening section. But no, Crichton going in exceptionally deep at turn 17. And it's cost everyone behind him. Look at the gap now. 2 seconds between the top two cars.
Yeah, basically the only one who's going to be happy about it is Ford.
He'll be ecstatic about it. He can now just keep his eyes forward, keep driving like he has been. And
watch out for Darren now. He's got a pretty good run.
Looking to the inside here into turn 11. Sends it in deep and gets in front. He's into P2. A nice move there from Darren as they head through turn 12, through turn 13, into the chicane of 14 and 15. Crichton, can he strike back? Oh, Leo's awfully close there, right on his gearbox as they head around turn 16. Down the straightaway towards the hairpin. Crichton will open DRS, but he's got 0.6 to close in. I don't think he can close in that much with DRS alone. Leo isn't closing in by too much either as Tensendel's retires in the pit lane. Fair enough, I suppose. With 5 laps to go, there's not really a great chance of a safety car coming out. So you might as well park it in the pits, have a break, and get ready for the main race. Into turn 1. This battle for P2 is still very much on. Can Darren pull away from Crichton? Crichton just doesn't seem to have the pace right now, as Tent Sandal's car is going to rejoin the track. Hopefully it doesn't distract anybody.
Oh, Ford. He rode the curb too much in turn 6, and he had a big wiggle. Went really wide. Oh my goodness.
Didn't cost him too much time though. I think he lost maybe a tenth, maybe 2/10 with that mistake. So, no, 40 still's got good pace underneath him. Crichton, meanwhile, does not. He's getting swallowed up here by Leo. Around the outside at turn 11. That turns to the inside at turn 12. Leo, can he get by? Not quite. Oh, now he does. Crichton had to yield. He was not in a great position, so he had to give up. He had to give the position. So Leo up into 3rd place, and now he's on the attack to try and close in on Darren 11 and fight for 2nd. Meanwhile, there's a battle behind as well. Spilly,
Watch out for Plebs.
Yeah, Plebs. He's got a whole heap of speed, doesn't he? Down the inside, heading down into turn 17. Oh, not really committing. Wheel-to-wheel contact there. Yeah, Plebs a sort of half dive down the inside. Not fully committing to the move. And he and Contrast made contact. And Contrast is fighting back down the inside into turn 1. Plebs trying to fight around the outside. That will turn into the inside at turn 2. Forcing Contrast on onto the wide line. So Plebs will hang on to P7. But you can see that flashing red light. He is low on battery. They'll make him quite vulnerable heading into the flat out section after turn 8. Now, Leo hasn't really closed in, so we won't look at that just yet. But if Leo has got speed underneath him, we'll flick to him when he gets himself in a position to attack. In fact, he's out 2/10. In fact, he's got a lot of momentum. He's going to go for it here. He closed in by 6/10, and he's down the inside at 12. What a move from Leo. Very similar to Crichton. A lot more cleaner. Oh, a bit of a moment, though.
Oh my goodness. And I Contrast has got Plebs back. So, back to P7. And now Contrast doesn't have DRS though.
Correct. They'll leave him vulnerable. And the same story with Leo heading down the straightaway towards turn 17. Leo covers the inside line, but Darren 11 gets in front before the braking zone. So he retakes 2nd. Now Contrast and Plebs fighting at turn 17. Plebs is in front. Contrast almost in the wall. He has a wiggle there coming out of turn 17. Keeps composure though, so he hangs on to P8 through turn 1 into turn 2. You can see Leo, he's right on the back of Darren's gearbox as they head around 3, running a tad bit wide. Crichton closes in the Mercedes down towards turn 4 into the right-hander of turn 5. Now the triple left-hander of 6, 7 and 8. Leo just needs to stay calm through this corner. Get a nice run onto this straightaway. And he's done exactly that. And I think he's in a position to attack Darren. He was in a position to attack when he was 6/10 behind. Can he close in by the same amount this time around?
Shot for Crichton though.
He's got to run, Crichton. Looking left and right. Looking around the outside. But Leo shuts the door. Still looking around the outside. This time at turn 12. He's got traction. He's trying to fight. But he has to give in once more. Leo hangs on to 3rd, and he loses a little bit of time as well to Darren. So Darren gets a little bit of breathing room heading onto this straightaway. I don't think Leo can catch up to the Alfa Romeo down this straightaway towards turn 17. We'll find out though. 6/10. That shrinks to 5.5, shrinks to 5/10, 4.5, 4/10. Into the braking zone. Contact and spinning! Spinning is Leo! Leo and Crichton spun, and that's a reset as well. Right in front of the field. And Leo will end up in 8th place. Vengeance had to check up. So then he wouldn't hit Leo. And a wiggle there.
Spicy's now in 3rd.
Oh, Grimmy. He's had a moment. Turns 18. And he drops down to 17th place.
Well, I don't know what happened. I was watching Leo's onboard. Maybe Crichton misjudged the braking point just a little bit. I don't know what happened there. But Spicy now is in 3rd position.
Yep. But how long will he stay there? Crichton is closing in. He's got DRS as well as they head down to turn 11. Crichton, he's got momentum. 1.5 tenths behind, not enough though to attack Spicy at turn 11. And who knows, he might have got damaged with that shunt at turn 17. I'm not certain of it. His front wing looks okay from the outboard shots, but I know it can be very different behind the wheel. Oh, Leo's right on the back of Contrast. He's probably not in a great mood right now. He's in angry mode. He just wants to pass people, get back up towards the front with the, well, basically 1.25 laps remaining that he's got. Does he look here to the inside? He's having a look to the inside here at 17. Almost making contact with Contrast. Heading around turn 18 now. Leo can't get by. Around the final corner. Onto the main straightaway. What does Contrast do here? He defends the inside hard. Leo looking around the outside into turn 1. He gets in front. Oh, and Contrast makes a mistake, does he? He drops behind Vengeance. I'm not sure if he did it himself or there was contact between the two cars. It was hard to tell from that camera angle. But regardless, Contrast is now in 9th position behind his Finland teammate.
The car.
Oh, yes.
It's lost the car. And Vengeance is now side by side with him.
It's a drag race down towards the DRS zone. After turn 9, who's got DRS? It is Vengeance. In the AlphaTauri, spinning is Luke. Crichton's now in front of Spicy. That's at turn 11. Around turn 12. Up towards the chicane now of 14 and 15. Can Spilly just get a nice run through here and line up an overtake out to turn 16? Now, he actually lost time to Crichton. A considerable amount of time. Crichton, though, he's on the weave, trying to break the slipstream. But I don't think Spicy will be close enough to attack. And nobody is close enough to attack our race leader. 40 will come around the final corner to cross the line to win the sprint race here at Miami. A commanding win at that. 6 seconds between the top two. It's Darren 11 who finishes P2. Crichton P3, followed by Spicy, then Spilly, then Plebs. Vengeance will hang on to 7th, followed by Leo, iContrast, and Vision rounds out the top 10.
Wow, this, yeah. 4 positions gained by Plebs, 3 by Spilly, 7 positions lost for Leo. Unlucky for him. But yeah, there was no contest actually, so Ford, as soon as he got the lead, he dominated the whole race.
Yeah.
And yeah, pretty good race from him.
It probably didn't help that everyone behind him was squabbling incredibly hard for position. Like, those fellas from P2 back really fought hard for position, and because of that, 40 just drove away. So yeah, good drive from 40 at the end of the day. It's not 8 points, it's 10 points. Top 10 score points for this. So that's a nice healthy boost for him. Darren 11, P2, nice race from him. Crichton P3, followed by Spicy, Spilly, Plebs, Vengeance, Leo, iContrast, and Vision. That's the top 10. And those are our point scorers for the sprint race. Outside the 10, we have Bags Liddell, Wogboy, Roscoe Arm, Chip, Grimmy, Luke, Karma, Hilles, Ferrari Pro, and 10 Sandals. And unfortunately for Karma, that 5 grid place penalty will kick in. He will have to start from the back. Main race time here at Miami International Autodrome. Slight overcast conditions, but according to Hilles, we shouldn't see any wet weather. But knowing this game, you never truly know with the weather, especially if you have it on approximate, which I think we do have it on approximate, don't we? For
yes, we
Race
do.
Spec. So, yeah, you kind of have to keep an open mind when it comes to the weather on approximate. So, yeah, keep an eye out. But for the start at least, it is dry conditions. So, drivers set off on their second formation lap. Let's see who's starting on what tyre. Well, it's another convincing story But there is one interesting tidbit. G-Force Ford, our pole sitter, is starting on the medium compound tyre. And he's one of 4 cars who are starting on the mediums. Everyone else is starting on the hard tyre. Darren 11, Crichton, Spicy, Spilly. Plebs and P6 are starting on the mediums. Vengeance, Leo, I Contrast, they're starting on hards. Vision is starting on mediums. Bags, Wogboy, Roscoe Arm, and Chip, they're starting on hards. Grimmy's starting on mediums. Luke, Hilles, Ferrari Pro, 10 Sandals, and Karma, they're all starting on the hard tyre as well. So, interesting.
Well, maybe I know something that many drivers don't, but maybe we will see some alternate strategies here. Not the usual medium hard or hard medium.
Really?
Yes, because actually the soft tires work really well on this track, especially if you're on low pressures.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tight, of course, because we know how the soft tires behave in this game. But maybe some drivers will have a think about it. Even the hard runners can even go a bit longer and try to go for the softs.
Yeah.
So let's see, because I think Ford's choice is like a no-brainer, to be honest, because he wants the clean air, he wants to be in first after turn 1, and he wants to lead the pack. So
Vengeance put his AlphaTauri in the wall, by the way.
Oops.
Thank goodness you don't get damage on a formation lap, man.
Yeah, exactly.
He full-on shafted his AlphaTauri into the wall. Yikes.
Well, at least he will have really good, warm rear tires after that.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect for a race start. So
exactly.
That's just the AlphaTauri great master plan right there in action. Lose control of the car so you can get maximum rear tire temperature.
Exactly. Nice helmet from Fordy though, by the way.
Yeah,
Miami edition for him.
I did notice that when he was running around. It does look quite nice. But Karma lining up into his grid slot. Everyone else is ready to race. So, the sprint race has finally come to an end. It's now time for the main race. And it's lights out and away we go here at Miami once again. It's a nice start from Ford as they head down. Oh, big wiggle!
Oh my god!
Great catch! Darren has an opportunity to get by, but with Ford on the medium compound tyre, he has better traction through the corners, so he hangs on to the lead. Darren, though, right behind in second.
Plebs.
Plebs on the attack, up into P3, making the absolute most of those tyres. Leo on the attack. Contact between him and Spilly. Spilly cuts the track at turn 6. Oh, and Leo runs wide at 7. Having to give Spilly room there at turn 7. So there wasn't any contact. Heading down the lengthy straightaway around turn 9, around turn 10.
Plebs is going to have a go on Darren.
Down the inside, and Darren doesn't put up a fight, he just lets him through. Leo fighting with Spilly. Spilly fighting back around turn 12. He has the inside line. Leo trying to fight around the outside. That turns to the inside at 13. Through the chicane of 14 and 15, he hangs on to the position. So, a fair bit of squabbling going on. At the end of the day, it's Ford who leads. Plebs in second. Darren 11 in third. Crichton fourth. Then the two McLarens of Spicy and Leo. Then Spilly in P7. Then the two AlphaTauris, and Vision still rounds out the top 10. Plenty of attacking going on.
That was a dangerous stuff from Ford. Oh
yeah,
my goodness.
Right at the start. My goodness. Like, the first phase was really quite good from Fordy. The first phase of the start. But during the second phase of the start, he got a whole heap of wheel spin, lost control of the car, and Grimmy's gone into pit lane as well. So I'm guessing he got damage on the opening lap. Quite unlucky there. But yeah, he lost control, but gathered it up really well. So much so that he managed to hang on to the lead. That was a moment there through turn 5. He ran wide, compromised his line through turn 6. Lost a little bit of time to Plebs, but he's still maintaining a 1 second gap to the man in P2. Spinning his bags Liddell in the Ferrari. And he drops down to 19th position. towards the back of the field. Quite unfortunate. Just needs to stay focused. Maybe do a little bit of praying as well. Hope for a safety car to come out. Try and help you out. Through the chicane goes the race leaders. Darren 11 still not giving in. He's keeping within that critical 1 second range to Plevs. Spicy not too far behind either in P5. Same with Leo. What about Spilly? That interval is not working properly. So Spilly's within a second. So is Vengeance. So we just got one really long train of cars at the moment. It's kind of a common trend we've been seeing with Pacific Tier 1. Just sort of demonstrating how competitive it is.
Here, and Plebs is trying everything to stay in that 1 second behind Ford. He's using all his batteries. He knows it's going to be key for him. But now Ford needs to extend this gap if he wants that clean air that he surely wants. Well, after that start and after the tyre choice.
We saw what happens when he has clear air in the sprint race. So, yeah, I'm sure he would like to do that all over again. And it looks like he's going to achieve it.
Yeah. Yep.
1.3 seconds is the gap, so that means Plebs won't get DRS. But Darren 11, he's right on the edge of 1 second. He doesn't have DRS. So
he's going to have it. He's got his DRS open.
Does he? Not for me.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Now he's gained 2 times. Oh, someone has spun. Still Grimmy. Oh, yep. For him.
And he's put it into the wall as well. He backed it into the wall. Oh, he's got complete front wing damage too. So he'll have to come in and get that fixed again. Yeah, Grimmy not having a great race at all.
Darren is not going to have DRS now, in this case. Don't think he's going to have it. No.
But no, that's quite peculiar, because on my screen he definitely didn't have DRS, and he had DRS on your screen. So that's a new one. I haven't heard of that before, but it adds on to the long list of glitches that are in this game. So that's great. Here comes Roscoe Arm on Luke here at turn 17. Couldn't quite get by into the hairpin. Oh, but there's a bit of battling going on between Sandals and Hilles. And Sandals gets in front into P15, into the final contact, I think, between the two cars, as Hilles tried to fight back down the inside of the final corner. I think there was contact. I'm pretty certain there was contact between the two cars. If not, it was just a mistake from Sandals. Lost the back end of the car at the final corner. But yeah, tight stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And Contrast has just been given a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings.
Already. Yeesh. Yeah, that's not a good omen, considering this is now lap 4 of 29. We got a long way to go until the end of the race. So yeah, he'll probably have to do his best efforts to not get any more time penalties. As Grimmy goes back into pit lane to get his car repaired once again. Yeah, speaking of...
Oh, Darren! Oh. Darren has spun, and Crichton gets a 3-second penalty to avoid him. Yeah, he touched the wall at the chicane with his left rear, yeah, and he spun consequently. Well, yeah, Crichton gets a penalty, but I think it's gonna get removed because he cut the chicane to avoid him. And yeah, I really wanted to talk about Crichton because I wanted to say he needs to get a move on and overtake Darren, but in the end, Darren has damaged this race.
Oh, tight between Luke and Roscoe as well at turn 12. Darren's now, oh, big wiggle from Darren through turn 18. And he's going to be vulnerable to Tent Sandals here down into turn 1. Tent looking to the inside, sends it in deep, too deep in fact, he goes straight on. Oh dear, and tumbles down to 17th position with that mistake.
Looked like the Perez overtake on Sainz in the real race. I mean, the attempt in the end, because Perez didn't make it stick.
It reminds me of a lot of, I think it was Mexico 2019, Ricardo and Perez into turn 1 of Mexico, just straight on. As Vision gets by Eye Contrast into P8. It might have been as well that Tent got off the brake to try and get in between the cars in front of him. Like he was trying to avoid them. That's entirely possible. couldn't quite tell, but he definitely went straight on at turn 1, that's for sure. Now, Spilly here will have DRS. He'll be closing in on Leo, and Leo's running low on battery. Spilly, meanwhile, he's got a fair bit of battery. This is something that Spilly does really well in this game. He does not waste his battery, does not waste it at all. He's got 70% compared to Leo, who's just run out of battery. He's on 0. So, yeah. Spilly has got a fairly big advantage right now in terms of battery. Just needs to keep calm, keep control. There's all battle on here between Roscoe Arm, Darren 11. Luke's involved, Hiller's involved, Karma involved. They're all squabbling for position here. As they head out of turn 3 towards turn 4. Luke right behind, or contact I think. Roscoe Arm compromised at turn 3. Hiller's trying to find a way by Luke, heading around turn 6. Up towards 7. Hiller's has the inside line, trying to make it work. Can't quite make it work, so has to give in. Luke hangs on to P14. As Spilly overtakes Leo, that was expected. We mentioned the battery difference earlier, so Spilly making light work of Leo. Meanwhile, Roscoe Arm is going to get swamped here. Luke looking around the outside. Hiller's trying to battle Karma as Karma moves through into P15. Runs wide though. It's now a side-by-side battle between him and Hiller's. Heading out to turn 12, around turn 13. Karma keeping that fight alive through the chicane. But Karma has to give in. Stays in P16. Leo, meanwhile, fighting back on Spilly down the inside here at turn 17. Vengeance closing in as well as Spilly does the over-under. Can he get the traction needed? Yes, he can. Through turn 18, around turn 19. Leo's going to try and fight here. He'll have DRS down the main straight. Does he have momentum, though? The answer is no. Leo has to give in, and Spilly moves into P5.
Nice battle between these two.
But a few good battles going on.
Yeah. It was actually a pretty good race to watch so far. And Crichton is almost in the DRS zone of plebs.
And he's got a time penalty now as well. 3 seconds, I guess. Yeah, it's 3 seconds. Oh, it's Spilly. Uh-oh. Oh, and Leo's out. Leo is out. He is cracked. With contrast, it looks like. Or is it Vengeance? No, it's Vengeance. Leo and Vengeance have come together. Yes, you're right, Marco. Safety car has been deployed. But yeah, Leo and Vengeance coming together. And Spilly definitely involved in all that as well. Spilly and Leo were battling for position. Vengeance was behind them. And Vengeance, I'm guessing, was caught in the crossfire of that battle. I'm guessing it. It's hard to tell. But no, one thing's for certain. Leo is out of the race, and that is huge for the championship. Because he's P2 in the championship right now.
Ford is in the pits.
Interesting. He comes
Plebs
in.
as well. And Crichton is in as well.
Everyone is in the pits. They're taking the opportunity to stop. Interesting.
Vision is out, stays out, Contrast gets into the pits. I think the only one who stayed out was Vision. At the moment.
If you remember, Marco, with that Elite Series race, Silderfort in the Red Bull did 19 laps on the medium tyre.
Yeah. In fact, I wanted to say that, like, if I were Ford or Plebs, I would have stayed out. Because actually these mediums, if there's a safety car, can really last longer. So you can really do 20 or 21 laps on the mediums and then go straight into the softs. I don't know. I think it's a missed opportunity for both of them. Because, okay, they've got fresh tires now, but I don't think the difference would have been that big, considering they had the 6 or 7 lap disadvantage compared to Crichton, Spicy, and so on.
I guess probably one of the major issues by staying out is that you now put yourself a pit stop behind everybody. So you're kind of banking on a well-timed safety car and also banking that you make the most of the track position you have. And if you don't, well, yeah, you're now a pit stop behind everybody.
Yeah, that's true. But consider also that like Crichton, Spicy, and so on would need to do 20 laps on those mediums. So if you stay out and go for the softs, then you're gonna be like 2 seconds faster per lap at least towards the end of the race. So you have time to recover. I don't know, like it was a 50-50 decision in the end, but I would have gambled on staying out if I was fourth. But then they know what they're doing for sure, so they're driving and I'm sitting here, so in the end it's their decision and probably it's the best one.
Yeah, no, ACW pointing out in the chat, yeah, mediums do last a while. And he mentioned earlier that by picking the medium tyre at the start, 40 might have screwed himself if there was an early safety car. And I think ACW's prediction may have come true in that regard. Because now he's at a tyre disadvantage to those behind him, and those behind him can make it to the end. So, well, best of luck to 40 and Plevs. They've got a bit of work to do on those tyres.
I think they still have an advantage though compared to the others. Because
Crichton.
Of course, oh, what is going on?
Crichton has come to almost a stop, and he's dropped down to 11th position.
I think he's got wind damage as well. For good measure, as Monty Brundle would love to say.
Yeah, he's got an end plate missing. He's got an end plate missing on that Mercedes. Yeah, there it is. You can see on the left-hand side of the front wing, Crichton has got an end plate missing. He will have to come into the pits.
Once again. And I don't think he's going to have new tyres.
No. Well, he used mediums in the sprint. He was on the hard tyre to begin with. And he probably used all 3 sets of soft tyres during qualifying. So, yeah, he has to go on to used tyres. And the safety car more than likely will be coming in at the end of this lap, I would think. Everyone's bunched up. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
Safety car in this lap. Called in by race control. So Crichton is at a massive disadvantage right now. The championship leader is massively on the back foot. And what does he do? He has to come in and get it fixed. What does he move on to? A hard tyre? A soft tyre?
Will he stay out? I don't know.
Don't know. It'll be a gamble to stay out on with that broken front wing. You will not be fast at all. As Vision takes off around the final corner. We're back on the green flag racing as Crichton pits in. It's now lap 10 of 29. We got 20 laps to go. Around turn 1. Around turn 2. Then into 3. Oh, some squabbling going on in the midfield as Contrast gets by Liddell into P6. Luke and Roscoe continuing their battle as normal as they head up towards turn 4. Spilly getting by Bags into P7. In front of Bag. In front of Bags.
Fordell goes down the inside of Vision. They're side by side now. He gets the move done.
Can Vision fight back though? He's in the slipstream. He's got battery to burn, but he's not proceeding to use any of it. Not using 1% of battery there. Not one bit of overtake. Interesting. He's going to hover behind Ford. Chip holding 3rd. Plevs in 4th. Spicy in P5. High Contrast P6 and Spilly in 7th. 10 Sandals overtaking the AI of Ferrari Pro as well. That was for P16. Around turn 16 they go. As Luke tried to go down the inside of Liddell there at 16. That was never going to work. And now Bags is 1.1 seconds behind the next car. And Darren 11 is on the attack. He has the inside line heading up towards turn 17. He's going to send it in deep here. Gets it done. Into P9 he goes. Yellows are out. It is Sandals?
10 Sandals.
Yeah, spun at the apex. Interesting. Crichton has moved on to a set of soft compound tyres, by the way.
He's basically gambling on another safety car.
Yeah.
to put those mediums once again.
Yeah, that's all he can hope for at this point, as 10 Sandals goes into the pits to repair his front wing. No, to retire from the session is what he's doing. Out of turn 8, 40 leading the way, 1.5 seconds to Vision. Chip still holding P3, Plevs under pressure here in P4, as Spicy is on the back of them. Heading around turn 9, heading around turn 10, as Darren 11 overtakes Bags Liddell. Can Spicy find a way by? He's looking to the inside here. Into the tight left-hander they go. Spicy deep on the brakes, but Plebs goes deeper. Around turn 12 now, the right-hander. Spicy on the outside, trying to keep the fight alive. Turns to the inside, and he has to give way. Plebs hangs on to P4. Around turn 16.
Ooh,
Contact!
there was a little contact. Yeah.
Just a teeny weeny bit. And Spicy, has he got a run? Not quite. Both cars fairly even in terms of straight line pace. And you can hear a big lift there from Spicy. Checking the car up early so he doesn't run into the back of Plevs on the brakes. High contrast just behind as DRS is now enabled. Down the main straightaway, here comes Spicy with a whole heap of speed. Down the inside he goes. Plebs leaves the door open, but he fights back at turn 2 and gets back in front. What a great driving from Plebs. Ha ha. Fully committed at turn 2. He had enough grip to get the car under control. Oh, he actually had a bit of a moment there at turn 5. But he had enough grip to keep the car under control and just drive back by into P4. As Tent has left the session, understandably so. Now Spicy, you'll open DRS and will close in on Plebs, but Plebs himself, he's got DRS thanks to Chip in P3. Down into turn 11. Deep on the brakes here. Oh, Plebs runs wide, just a little bit wide as they head around turn 12. Up towards turn 13. As Vengeance gets by Wogboy into turn 14. 15. Up to the left-hander of 16. Spicy closing in bit by bit. A little bit of oversteer as he rides over the inside curb. But he keeps control of the car. That's a really important thing. And another important detail is that 40 is driving away in P1.
Yes, he is. And yeah, this is key for Plebs now to get past Chip and Vision. The problem is that Vision and Chip have similar pace at the moment, so Chip will always have DRS to defend himself against Plebs. But for Plebs race, it is key to overtake both of them, and even for Spicy in contrast behind. Because of course, Chip and Vision now are the slowest cars on track because of tire wear.
Now, Plebs half a second behind Chip. He needs a nice run through this section, through turn 4, into turn 5, using plenty of inside curve there at 5. Same story with turn 6, around turn 7, and into turn 8. Needs a nice run out of 8. It's a pretty decent run. And he's closing in a little bit on Chip, but he doesn't have a lot of battery to spend. Chip doesn't have much either, and Chip still has DRS thanks to Vision in front. So Plebs unable to take advantage of his position on track. He closes in, but not by a great deal. Spicy still hovering behind. Vengeance getting by Luke down the inside of turn 12, so he moves into P11. Now, around turn 16, onto the long straightaway, up towards turn 12. Plebs not going to be close enough. Chip with DRS closes in on Vision. But with this DRS train forming, this is exactly what 40 wants. He's just driving away from the pack behind, creating the gap just like he did in the sprint race. Up towards T1. Vision. Chip. Plebs in P4. Right behind him is Spicy in P5. Then High Contrast in P6. Followed by Spilly in P7. Then Darren 11. Then Bags Liddell. Then there's a bit of a gap in the train between him and Roscoe Arm in P10. 1.1 seconds between the two cars. See, with all these guys, they're just a bit stuck. Unable to make moves at the moment.
Yes, they are. And this is a key moment for the championship, because after Monza, now Ford needs to take advantage of Leo and Crydon's mistakes.
Absolutely.
And this is going to be really important for his championship. He needs to capitalize when Crydon makes mistakes, because he's not one... Oh, what happened?
Oh, Darren 11 going for half a send at turn 11. Gee whiz. Thankfully, Spilly saw him coming and left the inside line open, but he had enough traction on the outside to keep P7. But yeah, Darren's not mucking around here in P8. He wants to move forward.
Yeah, he sure just got the pace. He showed it in the sprint race and in the beginning of the race as well. But yeah, let's see Spicy now, because it's really close to Plebs.
Yeah, here we go. Down the inside into turn 17. Down the inside he goes. Plebs has the outside line. Can he get better traction? Yes, he can. Around turn 18. Around the final corner of 19. Plebs is in front. But Spicy here has DRS. Looking around the outside here into turn 1. Sends it in deep. Plebs has to give way. Spicy, with all the traction in the world, moves into P4. In fact, he gets by Plebs in a similar fashion that Plebs got by him.
Yes.
So, outside line at turn 1 definitely works.
It definitely works, especially if you go on newer tires. Oh, Spilly goes a bit wide, and Darren now side by side with Spilly.
Here we go. And now Darren gets in front, only just so. Spilly slots back into the slipstream of the Alfa Romeo as they head around turn 10, up towards turn 11. Spilly won't be close enough to attack. Darren looking to the inside, just... Oh, look how committed he is on the brakes. Gets right up behind Eye Contrast into turn 11, around turn 12, towards 13, then into the chicane, 14 and 15. Plebs a 3-second time penalty. Can't afford to get those, and now he's losing time to those behind him. Eye Contrast 3/10 behind.
He's lost DRS.
Yeah,
Plebs has lost DRS to Spicy.
Uh-oh. Plebs is going to be a sitting duck here. Here comes Eye Contrast. Here comes Darren 11 down towards turn 17. Can't quite attack into the hairpin. So Plebs hangs on to P6. He's going to have his hands full with the cars behind.
Watch out for Darren now on Plebs.
Oh yeah, he's going for it down the inside here at turn 1. Sends it in deep. Parks the car on the apex at turn 2. Job done. Into P6. Nice move there from Darren. Heading around turn 3 up towards 4. Bags getting by Spilly here. Spilly fighting back though at turn 4. Around turn 5. Into turn 6. And Spilly stays in front. But Vengeance is now on the back of this battle. So is Roscoe Arm, Wogboy, Luke, Hilles and Karma. They're all there fighting for position. As Karma gets by Hilles into P14. Hilles has actually had a moment. Brought out
Watch
yellow
out for
flag
Vengeance.
briefly.
Side by side with Bags.
Looking around a long way here at turn 11. It will turn into the inside line at turn 12. Bags on the outside. Can't get it done on the outside, so Bags has to give in. But yep. It's demonstrating that the outside works at turn 11 as well.
Yeah, it works really well.
Because you have the inside line at turn 12 to try and keep the position.
Exactly.
Fantastic stuff out on track. Still got this huge train of cars, but Spicy is closing in on the 2 in front. Credit to Vision and Chip, still in P2 and P3, demonstrating they still have decent pace on those old tyres. So they're doing the job at hand, staying in the top 3. And 40's doing the job he needs to do, just building that margin constantly, pulling away from those behind.
Yeah, exactly. And now Spicy is within 1 second with Chip. So I think he will use DRS on the main straight. I mean, on the back straight, actually. Let's see if he goes for the move, because right now it's the moment where like Chip and Vision are in their pit window. So is he gonna risk the move, or is he gonna stay behind?
Now, do you think Chip and Vision will pit as soon as possible, or do you think they'll wait for a safety car?
Well, usually they should pit around lap 16, 17, but maybe they want to go longer, go for the softs, or they're just gambling on another safety car.
Yeah.
But considering the level of these drivers, it's pretty
contact
unlikely.
Between Wogboy and Luke there. Oh, and thank goodness ghosting turned on as quickly as it did. Otherwise, Karma would have been right in the middle of that. Yeah, battle between Wogboy and Luke. Luke tried to send it down the inside of turn 11. Drew alongside Wogboy. The two made contact at the apex. Luke lost control, and his car basically ghosted instantaneously, and Karma drove right through him. Fortunately, the ghosting system was actually working at that point. Working quite well.
It worked pretty well. It worked pretty well as well when Darren spun in the chicane, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, Crichton went to avoid him, but he shouldn't have done... I mean, he could have just gone straight, because the ghosting system worked pretty well.
Now Spilly has moved into P7. He's now in front of Plebs as Hilles pits. So he got damaged with whatever happened at turn 8. Guessing he'll get a front wing change and probably move on to the soft tyre. Go to the end of the race. Crichton, speaking of soft tyre, still out there on that rubber, praying for a safety car at some point. Yellows are out. It's Luke and Karma coming together, and Karma's been given a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision, and now Crichton's on the scene. He gets by. Karma just lets him through there. So Crichton now into P14.
Wow, 5-second penalty. I mean, this should have been like a really big crash if someone gets a 5-second penalty in normal conditions.
Not in F122 though. Not in F122. You can get it for basically lightly touching someone, and it's a severe collision. Happens a lot under safety car periods. Happens quite a lot under safety car periods. Yeah. Here comes Vengeance on Plebs. Down the inside he's looking. Down into 17. But Plebs outbrakes him and stays into P8. And no vision chip still staying out. I think they're gambling for a safety car at this point. Just waiting.
Yeah, and then putting some softs on.
Yep.
If the safety car doesn't show up into a 3 laps time.
Crichton going into pit lane to get off those soft compound tyres he was on. Don't know if he'll move on to another set of softs or back onto a set of mediums. He moves on to the set of mediums that he's got. So we'll go to the end on those quite easily.
Really complicated situation for the champion now.
Absolutely. As Darren 11 is going to go around the outside of eye contrast here, heading into turn 11. Goes in deep. My goodness, Darren, he's been so impressive under brakes. Such commitment. Gets it on through.
Considering his name, the only part of the track where he can overtake is turn 11. And he gets the move done.
He's
really
complimenting that.
Indeed.
He's complimenting that quite well, Darren. Overtaking in corners that well, he's also made a few moves at turn 1. But I suppose with 1 it's just well,
it is 1-1 in the end.
1-1.
11, so yeah.
So I was just trying to find a way to word that, and yeah, you put it quite well. 11's just 1-1, so no, Darren's doing quite well. Unfortunately though, he does have a time penalty next to his name. He's got 3 seconds. Same with the 3 other guys behind him, I contrast Spilly and Plebs. They all have 3 seconds as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to hurt them. And that's going to hurt them more if there's a safety car at the end.
Of course. And let's consider that he made that mistake. Without that mistake at the chicane, I think he would have been in P2, like fighting with Ford for the race win. Even though Ford is showing some real blistering pace. But Darren was looking pretty good as well.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that little mistakes like clipping a wall can be so incredibly costly, especially as we've already mentioned in a tier like this where it's so competitive. One tiny mistake turns into a big one. So
exactly.
But he's in a nice position right now, P5. he's looking at points at the end of the race. So at least he can take something home for his efforts. But yeah, it could have been quite a lot more. But that's racing. It happens a lot. So now, Chip closing in. Not by enough, though, to attack into turn 17. Leaders just crossed the line to begin lap 21. Vision and Chip stay out still. Still running. Still going. On those old tyres. Making them work. It's now bunching up the drivers behind. Spicy on the back of Chip. Unable to find a way by. He doesn't have a great deal of battery to play with either, Spicy. Through turn 5. Around turn 6. And into turn 7 and 8. There's Darren 11 just behind as well. Waiting for his moment to strike. Using battery. Chip not bothering to use any battery here. And now Spicy's run out of it. He's on 0. But he's closing in bit by bit. Is he close enough to send it in here? No is the answer. He's so close, but not close enough to go for the move.
Now it's really important for Darren to overtake Chip, because if you see the gaps, Vengeance has a shot for the podium. And he's like 3 point something seconds away from Darren. But if Darren gets the move done, then we'll have clean air. And Spicy now is all over Chip.
Here we go down this long straightaway towards turn 17. Spicy moves to the inside. He'll send it in deep and gets in front of the Williams. He's into P3. A clean move there. As Chip is spinning, it's Darren again! Oh no! At turn 18, he's put it into the wall. Front wing damage as well. He'll come into the pits and get that fixed. But that's race over for Darren.
Oh, what a shame. He was really fighting for that podium position. He would have got P3 at the moment. But now I'm gonna analyze the gaps and I'm gonna get back to you.
I know, in terms of battles on track, fairly limited now. With that incident, the gap between Spicy and I Contrast is 1.5 seconds, and it'll be interesting to see if Contrast can close that gap. And I think Vision, he'll be pitting in relatively soon. They'll put Spicy up into P2, and I think that would put Vengeance in a podium position.
Yeah.
So all that Vengeance needs to do is stay on the back of the train of cars in front of him.
Exactly.
Not make any mistakes as well. So Spicy's closing in. Fresher tyres doing the work. Down the main straightaway we go. DRS open for Spicy. He'll close in bit by bit. And now Contrast is going to be vulnerable to the two guys behind him. More notably is Spilly. 2 tenths behind. He closes so deep under brakes, but not close enough to attack into turn 17. Yeah, this would be a battle for P4, I would think, as Vision goes in to get off these medium compound tyres. He's done an incredibly lengthy stint. He waited as long as he could for a safety car, and it never really came. Onto the soft tyre he goes. He'll quite easily go to the end on that tyre. Bags Liddell going in as well for a set of soft compound tyres. And he'll make his way out of the pit lane in the lower half of the field. Yeah, now I guess our attention is turned to this 4-car fight for P3. Contrast, Spilly, Plebs and Vengeance all vying for position. And unfortunately for Contrast, Spilly and Plebs, they've got time penalties to deal with. Vengeance, so does not.
And Chip is gonna go for a move on Vision now with cold tires.
Here we go.
Yes, he's gonna go for the move.
Around the outside, but Vision covers really well. Around turn 12, Vision will hang on to P10. That was a good bit of driving. Oh, Roscoe arm! He's made a mistake at 16. Damaged his front wing. It's completely destroyed. Roscoe arm was looking at a really good result here at Miami. And he's just thrown it away at turn 16. Oh dear, oh dear.
Watch out for Chip now. Oh, doesn't go for the move, surprisingly.
That stays behind Vision, who, rather coincidentally, out of his pit stops has come out P10 as Roscoe goes in to repair his Aston Martin. Front wing change. And a set of soft compound tyres being put on the car. That's going to hurt. That's really going to sting for Roscoe. He was looking at a really nice result. But no longer. He's in P16. He is outside of the points as of right now. So, as Plebs almost goes into the back of Spilly there at turn 11. Very, very close between P4 and 5 on track. So they head into the chicane. Turns 14 and 15. Cornering the curve! And Plebs loses control. Through goes Vengeance into P5.
No big damage for Plebs though, because Vengeance would have got him anyway with the time penalty he's got.
But yeah, for Plebs, his priority would be set on the battle for P3 on track.
Spilly.
Yep, down the inside he's going.
Contrast.
Oh, and he gets in front.
Side by side. Oh my.
Now down towards turn 1. Contrast will have DRS. Does he have the momentum to try and fight back here into 1? The answer is no. He stays behind. So Vengeance now in an even stronger position to take P3 after penalties. Looking really, really solid out there. Luke and Chip battling for P10. Heading through turns 1, 2 and 3. Crichton's recovered to 13th. His teammate Hiller's behind in 14th. Darren Levin, P15. So we got a 3-car fight for the final point scoring spot.
Vengeance and Contrast really close.
Vengeance looking around the outside here at turn 11. Contrast though fighting back down the inside. But Vengeance has the inside line for turn 12. Contrast still trying to fight at 13, but eventually gives in. Vengeance moves into P4. Next target will be Spilly in P3 as Chip and Luke are battling for position. Heading around turn 12, Chip into P9 as Karma's overtaken by Bags Liddell. That was at turn 11. Down the long straight, up towards turn 17. Vengeance closing in bit by bit. So head around the hairpin, up towards turn 18. Now up towards the final corner, turn 19. Vengeance has got some decent pace right now. He's gone by Plebs, moved by his teammate Contrast. Now he needs to get by Spilly. Round turn 3. Up towards the S section. You can't really try and make a move here, but you can close the gap to the car in front. You need a nice run through this X section. Now around the triple left of 6, 7 and 8. The gap's at 0.4 of a second. Shrinks a little bit to 3.5 tenths. As they head onto the straight, it's about half a second between the two cars. DRS open for Vengeance. He'll close in just a little here. He actually closed in a lot more than I thought, and he didn't use any battery. That's just the raw straight line speed that he has. Round 12. As Vision gets by Wogboy around the outside, he's into P7 now. Making the most of those tyres, but that's the most he could get. The next car, Plebs, is 10 seconds in front. And I don't think he'll catch up to that. Using a bit of battery here, Vengeance. He's going to go for the move. It's going to be a simple one at that. Vengeance moves into P3. Now here's an interesting tidbit. The gap between Vengeance and Spicy is 2.3 seconds. When they cross the line, there'll be 2 laps to go. Can Vengeance close in that gap with the laps remaining? Be a tall order. I wouldn't put it past him though. Round turn 1, round turn 2, around the long right-hander of turn 3. And the gap has shrunk just a little, 2.1 seconds now between Spicy and Vengeance. All that Spicy really needs to do, just not make any mistakes. He can't afford to get too many warnings. Can't afford to get a penalty, that's for sure. Vengeance is closing in. 2 seconds now the gap. Around turn 9. Around turn 10. Meanwhile, Vision and Wogboy. Wogboy hasn't quite given up just yet, but I think he's a bit too far back to try and attack now. I think the best he can hope for is P8. That's going to be a tall order because Chip behind him is on soft tyres and is flying on them. Behind, we got Karma, Crichton, Darren 11 and Hillez battling for the final point scoring spots. Darren closing in bit by bit, and I don't think he'll be close enough to attack here into turn 11. Crichton's certainly going to have a go down the inside and through into P12. A ballsy move from our championship leader, but it was a move he needed to make. He needs every point he can find because one of his championship rivals looking pretty comfy out in front. As Hillez retires, he has crashed out at turn 16. That's a long way out of turn 16. I wonder if he got any help. Darren 11 moves by Karma into P14. That promotes Roscoe Arm into the points. Yeah, quite a peculiar place to have an accident. I think he might have been helped.
I actually thought for a second that Ford would have dived into the pits for new softs and get the fastest lap as well, because the gap was there. He thought about it for a second, but then...
Vision has spun. No. This is at turn 8. He was on for a top 10 finish. He's now P11 behind Bags. He has made a mistake. A costly mistake. And here comes Chip to take P7 for himself. Around Wogboy he goes at turn 11. Now Vengeance, he has closed in a little here and there, but not by enough to really challenge Spicy. Meanwhile, our race leader has just started the final lap. And what a drive this will be if he brings it home in one piece. This is a massive win, a statement, if you will, from GeForce Ford about his intentions during this season of racing. A massive statement. 18.3 seconds is currently the gap between the top two. Vengeance has spun into the wall! Vengeance has spun out of turn 2 into 3! He's put it into the wall! He's thrown away a podium! Oh my goodness gracious me! Oh no! He lost control out of 2, put it into the wall, he's now in P6.
And he's missing his front wing as well, so watch out for Chip and Wogboy. They're gonna eat him alive.
Absolutely.
Towards the end of the lap. Oh my goodness.
Wow, 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 wow. On the last lap, one final bit of drama for Vengeance. A massive blow for him. It could have been a podium. Oh dear, oh dear. Well now, Spilly. He's in contention to score a podium finish here at Miami. But 40, untouchable here at Miami. He won the sprint and he wins the main race. What an effort, 40. Well done. That's a huge statement. Spicy, only a few corners left for him. He'll definitely take P2. Nice result for the McLaren driver as he heads around the final corner. P2 for him, and Spilly will get third. He's been gifted P3 thanks to the mistake that Vengeance made at turn 2. But he will hang on to P6 to his credit, even with a damaged car. Half a second separating Vengeance and Chip at the end. But well done Chip as well, making those tyres work for as long as he did. Well-deserved P7 finish. Wogboy P8, Luke 9th. Bags Liddell rounds out to 10. What could have been for Vision, he finishes P11. Crichton recovers to 12th. Darren 11, P13. Karma 14th. And Roscoe Arm will finish the race in the pit lane. Our final finisher in P15 as Ferrari Pro was disconnected for the entire session. There we are. An interesting Grand Prix, to say the least. Had some intense racing. We had drama all the way through. And one dominant drive from G-Force Ford. Won the sprint race comfortably. He then proceeded to dominate the main race, winning by a margin of 20 seconds. That's a statement and a half. 40's back on the top step, and he's done it in
40
style.
Point. Exactly. Domination Nation. 40 points out of 40. Sorry for the bad joke. And yeah, what a race. I mean, unbelievable race for 40. Apart from that invalidated lap in quali, that would have been like the perfect weekend for
That
him.
would have been the perfect weekend. If he did that lap at the end of qualifying, yeah, it would have been the perfect weekend for sure. There we are. The end to what has been an interesting night of racing. Now I'll quickly get the full results of the sprint race as well, because I didn't quite get that. So we'll get to see that. But for the race, 40 wins by 20 seconds over Spicy at the end of the race. Spicy, he'll be pretty happy with P2. Spilly, he'll be pretty happy with P3. High Contrast P4. Plebs P5. Vengeance P6. Chip from 14th finishes 7th. Woke Boy P8. Luke P9. Bags P10. Vision 11th, followed by Crichton, Darren, Karma, Roscoe Arm, and Ferrari Pro, who wasn't in the session. 4 retirements at the end of this race, one of which critically was G-Force Leo, the man who was second in the championship. There we are. Wow. But no, that's 2 not bad races back to back that I've witnessed at Miami. So this track is turning it on. Definitely in terms of drama, I'd say. But I suppose we all kind of expected this with Miami. It has that sort of dramatic vibe to it. The close confines of the race track, some of the high-speed corners. Probably the biggest thing is the tricky traction zones. That caught a lot of drivers out tonight. So, yeah, no, a good race. A good couple of races, actually. So, we'll get to the...
agree with you.
We'll get to the virtual showroom. And, I'll go blue screen for just a moment. I'll just let this load up accordingly. And,
I'm gonna invite all the drivers in the party chat.
Ah, thank you. That's quite appreciated.
Just done.
But I'll still go blue screen anyway. Hello, Bailey. Hello. I'll just quickly check. Hello. Now I'll just do your volumes accordingly. Volumes. Not that one. That one. Alright. Now, 40 and Spicy, I think your audio is good. I just want to make sure with you, Spilly, that your audio settings are okay. If you check in party audio settings, could you see if your allow your voice to be shared as always allow for me? If you're there. Spilly, you there? Hello? You there? Oh, feedback is something. Have you still not got a workable mic, Spilly? Because I remember that was a thing last season. No worry, Chad. We're getting our way through this. Just making sure everything's all right. No. Also, well done, Spicy and Ford as well. You can talk away if you like. stream's currently blue screen, so no one will hear you. So you can say whatever you want. Well, no, you did a lot of talking out on track, it seems. And that spelling, have you got it working? Yeah, no. Still not working, Spilly? I'll tell you what, we'll start interviews anyway. We'll go from P2, we'll make our way up as Spilly's working from that. So, we'll start with you, Spicy. Nice couple of races from you tonight. Solid bundle of points, I'd say. But first off, we'll talk about qualifying. How was it from your end?
Yeah, quali went relatively well, but it wasn't as flashy. You couldn't exactly match a bunch of all the front runners up there, but I just needed to get a clean lap and get up near the front because I knew it would be, obviously starting near the back, it'll be relatively difficult to find yourself back up near the front.
But, no, how was the first... Well, is this your first ever sprint race? Ever? From a league point of view?
Well, I did one on Sunday, but...
Oh.
Yeah. But no, it was good fun actually having a sprint race in the wet and racing the caliber of the drivers at the front.
But no, well, you fellas were really going at it. Holy cow.
I was sitting back sort of minding my own business because I didn't want to get involved.
Yeah, well, everyone else was definitely getting involved. My goodness. But, no, you ended up finishing... Oh, goodness. How did you end up finishing? Fourth place. No, proving that keeping out of trouble isn't exactly a bad idea. How is it?
No, definitely not.
But no, the main race then came along. How was the start? Any more on the table?
So the start felt alright, minus the fact that I had a sort of a bit of a missile driver on the mediums come flying past me.
Yeah.
But couldn't do much about that. The mediums are kind of a bit of a rocket ship off the line.
Yeah, plebs made those work. Holy moly.
Without a doubt. Then I just sort of settled myself into the race, sort of tucked in behind all the drivers. Did my own little thing, went along, and then the safety car came out. I knew it would have been relatively alright to get the mediums to the end, but they would start to struggle a bit at the end of the race.
Yeah.
But obviously I tried to push hard on that safety car restart to get past Matt, but just couldn't have the legs on me, ended up draining too much of my battery, and then that's probably put me on the back foot, passing all the other drivers just a bit in front.
No, eventually you got your way through. I couldn't quite get by Vision and Chip though, until well, actually you did. You went down the inside of Chip at 17, didn't you? Then he went into the pits. And then the person behind you, was it Darren behind you, spun out, put it into the wall at 18?
That was one thing about this track. It's relatively difficult to put your foot down on the floor. And a lot of people making small errors in traction. That's what I knew. I just needed to keep myself in a straight line, keep the car straight, not get any penalties, as with a bunch of the drivers behind me. And I knew my race would be relatively straightforward and I should get a decent result.
But no, actually, that reminds me. You and Plebs had a pretty nice battle at the end there. He managed to get you around the outside of turn 1. Just, he got all this traction in the world through turn 2, drove by you, and then you returned serve a few laps later. That must have felt pretty nice.
The outside's a bit of a dominating pass into turn 1. It? Just because it becomes the inside for the next corner, and it's relatively difficult to keep your car around the outside through turn 2. But, you know, it was good fun racing that. Although it probably wasn't the fastest way through the field, but I enjoyed it.
He got through anyway. He ended up finishing P2, so I'd definitely take it. But, Marco, have you got anything to ask Spicy?
Yeah, good race, Seb. Good podium. And yeah, I was wondering, how did you feel being behind Chip and Vision? Because of course they had all the tires, and I think you felt like you had better pace than them at that point. Was it just battery, or I mean, if you had the question is, if you had more battery, would you have gone for it, or just would you have just stayed behind them and wait for them to pit?
If I had more battery, I definitely would have passed them. I felt like I had more speed up at that stage, but running about 10% for a lot of it, just sort of use my battery, but the drivers in front sort of just walk away at the end of it. Bit of a struggle just trying to get past them, but
Yeah.
no, the result still comes, so it's alright.
Yeah, that's always a big problem when you're stuck in the middle of a DRS train and you're low on battery. You can't do anything. You just can't do anything. But you kept your cool, and you ended up getting P2 at the end of the race. One final question for you, though. Next week we're heading over to Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. How do you feel heading into next week?
I do enjoy Spain, but previous occasions I have had random punctures pop out, but no, it'd be good fun going back around Spain. Obviously, tiny bit of a change to the layout, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, the sort of half follows the original layout over at turn 10. It's just disappointing we still have to do that infernal chicane, but that's just the racetrack we race on. Well, best of luck then for next week, but for now, congratulations on your P2 finish, Spicy. Well done.
Thanks, fellas. Cheers for the stream.
Spelly, you got your mic working? You know.
The mic is back.
Oh my god, it's working! Oh.
So I got a new mic about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I still had the plastic thing covering the mic. Because I hadn't taken it off.
Right.
So, it's back.
But no, welcome. Long time no hear from you, Spilly. So it's nice to have you back. But no, P3 finish at the end of the main race. You happy with that?
Of course that was the craziest race. Like, so many spins and on the last lap I get gifted a podium, so...
Yes.
I would have had him. If I didn't have the penalty, I would have had him. I had so much ERS saved up.
Yeah. No, that's something you do a lot, I've noticed in this game. You're quite good at saving battery. So...
Everyone around me was flashing red, so...
Yeah. No, you were doing quite well throughout that race. I think I pointed it out during a battle between you and Leo, if I recall correctly. But more on that later. First off, how was qualifying on your end?
I could have gone quicker. But on my last run, on the exit to start a new lap, I kind of spun on the last corner, so
yeah.
I didn't get a third and final run in. But yeah, I made up for it in the sprint race.
But no, how was that sprint race for you? First ever sprint race, by the way, in a league setting?
Yeah, first ever. I kind of only realised I was in the sprint race halfway through. Because I was saving it. Everyone was using the ERS, and I had like 80%. And then I looked top left, and it was like 6 out of 10 laps, and I'm like, oh shit.
It's a sprint.
I forgot about that. And then I think I overtook Plebs, and then got up into 5th. So that was good.
Nice points, nice starting position. And how was the start of the main race? I mean, Spicy touched on it earlier. Plebs just took off.
I don't know how.
He just flew into P3 from like P6.
I hadn't even hit second gear yet, and he was already up the inside of Spicy.
Yeah, he got the Bottas start. He did. Took off.
Yeah. Can we look at the stewards? Can the stewards look at that?
We might need to have a look at instant replay here.
Jump start, maybe.
But no, how was that sort of middle phase of the race for you? I mentioned earlier there was a battle between you and Leo, and I think
I caused the safety car.
Right. So
I spun, so I was in front, Leo was behind, and I think Vengeance was behind that. Yeah. I spun, trying to get on the traction, and then Leo was right behind me, and we both kind of silhouetted.
Yeah.
And then Vengeance did the exact same thing, so all three of us...
Really?
We were like a half a second apart, but...
All of you got on the gas too early and spun into the wall. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. There wasn't any contact at all, like...
Really? Far out. I knew you fellas were close. I thought just by looking at what happened, I thought there must have been contact because obviously I didn't manage to capture all of it. But yeah, that's a bit humorous to be honest. If all three spun out one after the other.
I had spun, and then I did the perfect. I spin so much this game that I kind of learnt how to when I spin to perfectly be facing in the right direction.
Yeah.
So as I'd done that, I'd realised I'd lost no positions, and then in front of me is Leo and Vengeance just spun into the wall, and then the safety car came out. So.
Right.
Yeah. Perfect.
No, there you go. But you were on the hard tyre, moving on to the medium tyre. How was that medium tyre during that second stint?
Thanks to ACW in the chat, because I was about to stay out, because I thought the tyres weren't going to last, but apparently they do, so...
Yeah, they last a while around here. Proof of that was back in the Elite Series a few days ago. Driver Silderford did 19 laps on the damn thing, so yeah, they can last a while. But how did they feel on your end?
I was only at 60% when the race finished, so...
Yeah, no, tyres were doing good then. They feel alright? They didn't feel loose or anything?
Nah, very good.
Alright, interesting. But,
yeah.
But no, you managed to get a 3-second time penalty. Gathered one too many warnings.
I'm not happy about that.
Yeah, well, it happens unfortunately.
I didn't actually know I had a second warning.
Yeah, that's...
So,
yeah.
I think I got one when Darren dived it down the inside and I went wide. But I think at the same time, someone retired from the session. So, it didn't pop up.
Yeah, it disguised the pop-up for the warning.
Yeah.
That would suck.
Kind of screwed me.
But no, you were then locked in a battle between Plevs and iContrast, because all three of you had penalties. Vengeance then comes through, to take third, and then the mother of all gifts happens in front of you on the final lap.
He was scared. I was coming for him. He knew it.
No. Lost it at turn 2, put it into a wall. Oh.
He looked in the mirror, he saw the sexy Red Bull, and he went, yeah. Too much on the throttle, didn't he? Yeah.
But no. P3, yeah. You'd be pretty happy with that.
Very happy.
Marco?
First podium of the year, so... Yeah.
Marco, have you got anything to ask Spilly?
GG Spilly, good podium, P3. Really happy for you. You seem to have good relationship with new tracks. You just told us that last year you won at Imola and Portimao, and now you got a podium at Miami. So what's about it? What do you feel makes you have some edge on new tracks compared to the other ones?
Maybe it's the controller. Maybe we're just better at adjusting to new tracks.
Maybe.
But up until 30 minutes to the race, I was struggling in time trial, real bad. And then I hit a good lap, and then everything came together within the last 10 minutes before the lobby got opened up. That's why I joined late.
Oh, okay. Yep, fair enough.
Yeah.
But well then, best of luck then for next year's game at Las Vegas. So, because stats are looking pretty decent on your end for new circuits. And
is there any other new tracks this season?
Maybe Qatar next year.
Yeah, Qatar surely. Yeah, Qatar surely.
And
or maybe I don't know if it applies for new track layouts. So maybe Australia, Spain, which is next.
Yeah, Spain is next. Well, confidence must be a little bit high then for next week.
I'm typically good around Spain, so I don't know, we'll see.
Just remaining optimistic then.
Yeah.
For Spain. Fair enough, fair play. Well, Spilly, congratulations on your P3 finish here tonight in Miami. Well done.
Thank you very much.
But we'll move on to the race winner. 40. That whole session was essentially a statement from you about your intent heading into the future races, wasn't it? Look, gee whiz.
Yeah,
think that's enough. Yeah, it shows how I'm feeling about the rest of the season, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about qualifying first of all, because you put it second, but it could have been first, couldn't it?
It really should have been first. Yeah, that's probably my only mistake I've really made in qualifying all season. But the Zandvoort spins. But when it comes down to it, yeah, that's pretty much the first one I've made. It was really annoying as well, just going wide into that corner, not even really cutting the corner. It was just, I didn't even know you could go wide there and get a warning, so it was
Which
a bit
turn
disappointing.
was it?
After the first DRS straight, going into that sharp left-hander, I was too wide on entry, so I was actually too close to the wall, underneath the Fly Emirates board.
Yeah, okay.
Which, yeah,
I don't think I've done that before. That's, yeah.
So,
there you go.
yeah, I was, I think, 4/10 off my lap at that stage, so I knew, get the rest of the lap, and I probably had pole anyway.
Yeah.
So I was actually really annoyed at myself for that, but thankfully I was still front row regardless.
Yeah, no, it would have been a 27 flat at the end of the session, which would have put you on pole by about 3/10 to Leo at the end of qualifying. But no, lined it up P2 next to Leo. How was the start in the sprint race on your end?
Yeah, I was really considering if I was going to go softs or mediums, but being already in a pretty good spot, I thought there's nothing to risk, nothing to gamble, let's just get a good start for the race, like the main race. So yeah, started mediums and had a little battle there at the start with Leo, got past and then yeah, I guess just showed my pace from there. It was, I guess, a really good sign for the next race.
Yeah, no, you got to the front and then just drove away. That's all you... Basically, all you did.
Yeah, that badly really helped for sure in that sprint race because
that is true.
Yeah, but it was good. Like once I did clear them, it really showed that I had the pace over the rest of the field. So yeah, I just needed to get out of their DRS, and yeah, I pretty much knew from then I could pull away.
Now for the main race, start could have been a complete disaster on your end. Holy moly! Like your initial start was great for like the first, I don't know, 30 meters. And then you had a massive tank slapper.
No, I flicked on the overtake button as soon as I hit 5th gear, but my tyres would have been maybe a little bit too cold for that. And it could have, as you said, it could have been all over 100 metres into the race, which, yeah, thankfully it wasn't because I had a lot to prove, that's for sure.
Well, no, you managed to hang on to the lead, if I recall correctly, after the first complex, even with that big tank slapper. And it was a similar story to what it was in the in the sprint race, rather, where you got to the front and, sort of managing your pace to those behind. You were on the medium compound tyre. Compared to just about everybody else was on the hard tyre. So did you feel like during that first sort of half of the race that you might have made a mistake?
No, I was confident in my strategy the whole way.
Interesting.
I would have done medium to soft, so about 20 odd laps in the mediums, and then the rest in the softs. And I'd already pulled 5-second gap to the likes of Zach and stuff who was behind. The only thing that was scaring me a little bit was Matt behind me, because he was kind of towing the Milan with his medium pace.
Yeah.
So yeah, other than that, I felt pretty confident. That's the only thing that I was really on my mind a little bit, that I wasn't getting the full advantage of my mediums if Matt was pulling the Milan also on his mediums.
Did you just say you were scared? Didn't you win by like 16 seconds?
Yeah, no, but this is before the safety car. So yeah, no, Zach would have definitely still had a chance if that safety car didn't come out or anything like that. Yeah, being at the very end of the race, like, it would have been interesting to see what would happen. But yeah, I guess that safety car came out again. I broke the DRS, and yeah, that was it. I kind of pushed for fast lap at the end, maybe thinking of pitting, but I didn't want to race anymore. I was just happy to just drive the car instead of race the car, I guess you could say.
Marco said something similar along those lines towards the end of the race, that he was thinking that you might go in for a set of softs right at the end. But no, fair play to you.
It was close.
They were my pit regen was about it was first on the very final lap, but on the last 2 laps it was second. But I just didn't want to take the risk. Yeah, end of the day, I got really good sprint race points behind me, and yeah, getting another 30 on the other two who had really bad races tonight definitely helps for sure. It's I guess a bit of redemption after last week.
Now, I will issue a slight apology to you because during that safety car phase, we kind of thought you screwed it in terms of strategy, pitting onto the hard compound tyre. But because we knew that the medium tyre could last quite a long time, so we thought everyone behind on the mediums could get through and, you know, attack you at the front. What we didn't really count on, though, was Chip and Vision still having pace on old rubber and basically being the lead of a DRS train. And as a result, nobody could get through. So once you got past them, you just sort of drove away, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I knew what my job was straight away, just to try to break that DRS train. And yeah, as I was saying, the sprint race kind of taught me that, so I knew it was really crucial. Like, that was probably the most important part of the race, getting rid of that DRS, because their pace wasn't bad. You know, if they were in a DRS train, you know, they can easily sit with you with the pace they had. But it's once you get to that clear air, you really start seeing pace advantage. So no, I did everything I think I needed to tonight. The only thing I could have done better was pole, but yeah, I think that's we were looking good for it anyway.
No, 20 seconds must be nice.
It's very nice, yeah, for sure. I feel like I've really had the pace all season. Last week was obviously really unfortunate, but Zandvoort showed it as well that I was there. And Belgium, I was a bit off the pace there, I'll admit that. But yeah, since then we've been pretty quick, I think.
Marco, have you got anything to ask our race winner?
Well, what can I say? Domination Nation. I mean, Lane, like what we said during the safety car period, I think with that pace he would have won anyway. In my opinion. But now you have recovered 30 points in the championship from Crichton. You're just 2 points away. And yeah, have you got anything to say to Crichton after he called you lucky last week?
I guess he was calling himself unlucky again tonight, making that 2 stop off the hards. But yeah, I guess with everyone spinning, maybe he was a bit lucky tonight also, jumping up the pack a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of spins tonight, and yeah, what could have easily been, you know, out of the points for him, he was able to get up to P11 or P12, I think. So yeah, 6 or 7 cars making mistakes is pretty handy.
So Marco, it's 2 points, is it? Between the top
yes, should be. I mean, if my calculations are right.
Alright.
Yeah, it should be just 2 points away.
Definitely a good confidence booster. I needed that. 30 points down after last week was yeah, very frustrating, especially when I had the pace.
How far off am I?
I need to open the standings.
Giving him too much work.
Exactly. But I'd say you need to five races in a row. If you win 5 races in a row, then you're back in the championship. I think you're gonna be first if you win 5 in a row.
Alright, that's the goal.
That's the goal.
I need.
That's everyone's goal.
Autumn in 5 times in a row.
So yeah, 2 points, 40. Is it on?
It's on, man. Yeah, I said it last season at the end. It's definitely on for sure.
It's on.
Yeah.
He said it, so it's on. All right. Next week we're heading over to Spain. How do you feel heading into next week?
Yeah, I like Spain as well. I think Zach's won the last 5 there. It might be.
He has.
But if you remember last season, I qualified with an alternate strategy and got wind damage lap 1. So let's write that one off. I'd say he's won the last 4, but yeah, hopefully we can stop it.
All right then. Best of luck heading into next week. But for now, congrats on this whole race session. You won the sprint and you won the Miami Grand Prix. Well done.
Thank you very much. Hopefully talk to you guys next week again. Cheers, guys.
But I think, Marco, they'll wrap up an interesting race here at Miami. Not a bad way to make its debut in Race Spec, I'd say, for Tier 1 at least. Elite Series was very much the same thing. It was just good racing, plenty of drama, and yeah, an entertaining sort of race session. But one final thank you to you, Marco, as well, for joining me here in the comp box. Your help is dearly appreciated, as always.
And as always, I'm really glad to commentate with you. And see you next week in España.
Definitely going to be interesting next week. But I think
it's going to be caliente for sure.
But with the race finally over, it's time for us to end the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. My co-commentator, as always, is GeForce Pato. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week for round 5 of the championship at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, for the Spanish Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.